So this is class exercise number 4, part E, beginning part E. And I want to talk to you about in programming, especially in React, it has what's called, it follows pretty much like Java or C++ or your Python with it. It has the same concept with it. And so you understand this concept behind it with it. And the concept is what's called composable. Composable means smaller parts makes up the 5 is React is what's called composable. And composable, when you think about it, here's what I want you to think about when you think about composable, is the analogy that I'm going to share with you. Composable is something that is, think of the statue of David, okay? All you're familiar with the statue of David, with it. It's in the Louvre. And let me share with you this picture over here. So this is the statue of David, right? And so the statue of David is carved from one piece of stone, and he did the entire piece. Michelangelo did it with, he carved it without putting anything together with it, right? It makes it really, really nice with it. The composable piece is this piece over here is made of Legos. And it's not, it's the smaller pieces that make up the large piece with it. So each one of these things that you see, the detail of this is that, each of the white pieces of Lego are finer pieced, and think of it like a component with it. That's what I want you to start thinking about. Your entire web page now is a composable. Each one of these smaller pieces are carved out individually to make up an entire web page with it. That's the mind frame I want you to think about. Whereas the marble piece is one large piece that you would create your entire web page on. All right. So if you look at Facebook, or I mentioned Facebook or Netflix for you, these individual small pieces in there are driven by different components. That's what this is. All right. So this is where we're going towards to. This is the old days, was that you can create the entire page and then you load this entire page onto your browser. Today's world with it, you only modify the finger or the particular nose or a particular mouth or the hair or the ear. You do that separately through a JavaScript file that actually reads it into it as well. So I want you to understand this concept with it, which is very, very important concept to understand with it. The other thing I want you to understand in programming, there's what's called a declarative and imperative. So when you think about declarative with it, let me give you some definitions on here with it. Let me bring back that notepad. I just like notepad better with it. The other one just gives me too much with it. So the second idea for you to understand is what's called declarative versus imperative programming. So this is very important for you to understand is what is declarative when you're declaring a lot of the stuff that you're telling, a lot of you are doing is what you tell it what should be done when you want to do this. So for example, you would actually just tell me what to do, and I will worry about how I get it done. Okay, so that's how I want you to think about it. And the second one is imperative. Imperative is what's called how should it be done. All right, let me turn off my phone here. It's this time of the year that I get all sorts of spectrums back up now, right? So I get internet now. So they're extending the outage with it until 9:30. I apologize with it, but my internet's out, so I gotta do all this on offline. So how should it be done with it? So you would describe to me every step on how to do something, and I will do it. So for example, a declarative is to tell you, go change that flat tire in your car. Just go in, just I'll worry about it. I'll get it done with it, right? An imperative type of programming is that you have to give out individual steps. 1, get the lug nut wrench. 2, put your car in parking. 3, put your parking brakes on. 4, you spell out step by step with it. That's imperative with it as well. Declarative with it, when you program in declarative with it, it makes it really easy. You just tell it what should be done. I want this page to look like this. I don't care how you want to do it. Do it. All right. It's a different mindset than we've been programming all this time with it. In most structural programming, we've been using what's called imperative with it. You break the task down smaller tasks with it as well. In computer science, we write functions. We write smaller tasks with it. That's imperative with it. Versus something later on when you get into more AI programming with artificial intelligence with it, you get into more of just setting up that class or a particular function or a class that you tell it, and it will automate and does it for you with it. And that's where you want to work towards to, is what's called declarative versus imperative with it as well. So it's important for you to understand those two concepts with it. And I'm going to demonstrate this in the code that you're about to do with it. So, of course, when you start to learn to program, you have to do imperative, right? You have to break down the tasks to smaller tasks with it to get down to the nitty-gritty detail with it, right? But as overall, potentially, you want to make it into a declarative type of programming concept with it as well. Alright, so make sure you understand this with it as well. And I want you to, we're going to get into back to the coding side. But this is a good point for me to stop the video because it's about 7 minutes. This is a good stopping point with it. So let me just stop the video. This is the end of part E, and we will continue with part D. It just makes it a little cleaner cut with it as well. But alright.